Oh, Mark, what a week it has been. And you're still laughing at that 7-Eleven crack, aren't you?
Oh, the Donald Trump 7-Eleven crack? That's just the best. You know what it is? Every political candidate messes up, right? Didn't Obama say there were 57 states or something like that?
But
you know what it is?
Look, when you're out there, you're tired and you're talking. And yeah.
First of all, what makes it hilarious is that it's from Donald Trump, the perfect candidate, and we know he's perfect because he tells us he's perfect.
We're actually going to cover that today. There's a DVD.
Is that right?
Yeah, there is. There's a DVD. Anyway, go on.
So the fact that Donald Trump is perfect because he tells us he's perfect. So right now there's some sort of effort to make it seem as if it was either a liberal's fault that he said that or that he really meant that.
Yeah. Well,
like maybe there's a fire station 7-Eleven, right?
Or
down
maybe he wanted,
whatever it is.
Maybe he was getting a Slurpee when
it could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the idea that he made the mistake when it comes to one of the great American tragedies of our history is 9/11. Anyway, so here's the thing. What we're going to talk about before we talk about Blu-rays and DVDs, big thing on Facebook recently about Star Trek.
Yes.
Now, Star Trek, as you know, is a television show. Okay. Just diving right into it. Here's my issue with Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's the 50th anniversary of the show, and Paramount should be pulling out all the stops. Media loves nothing more than an anniversary.
True.
Especially one that ends in a 0.
Yeah.
Less so ones that end in a 5, but definitely ones that end in a 0.
Yes.
So Paramount should be now. Again, they're reissuing the original series on Blu-ray. They're finally issuing the complete series Next Generation on Blu-ray, which I already have I have the UK release.
Yeah.
But that and the movie's coming out. But all that's coming out basically in June and July.
Yeah.
The actual show itself, there should be more. Paramount somehow either doesn't care or they're just letting the movie be that thing.
It's a company in turmoil. I mean, I posted this on the Facebook page too, but it's Sumner Redstone is there's this whole lawsuit of whether he's competent or not. His ex-companion is there's all the whether he's how much he's worth, his family, who's controlling the company. Whether they were hiding anything, whether they're going to sell off 40% to a minority owner or not. I mean, it's just there's so much turmoil at the top, and there's a power struggle, and Brad Gray is kind of stifled. I mean, they had the fewest films they have released in like 25 or 30 years last year. They released nothing. Paramount was like a non-studio last year.
Well, that's why Star Trek is so... Also, isn't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Paramount?
Yeah.
So those are two tentpole films.
Yeah.
That need to overperform.
Yep.
In order to justify themselves.
It's a company in turmoil. So I mean, honoring the, you would think that they would have had that Star Trek anniversary on their calendars for like a decade.
You'd think CBS would have some sort of primetime special.
Yeah, you'd think.
I mean, Chris Santucci on the Facebook page, he said this kind of feels like the end of the movie series.
Yeah.
Given the lack of interest and the bad vibes from the last film.
Yeah.
You know, he said, I would say that Paramount is betting on the wrong pony.
And they lost JJ. You know, JJ he's doing Star Wars.
But they gained Justin Lin. Now, Justin Lin, as we've said before, he's a brand name director to that audience.
Yeah, but he's
a Fast and Furious guy.
You know. Here's the thing: Star Trek is a thing that needs someone to godfather it, to give it to be like Roddenberry, to sort
Rick
of
Berman.
or Rick. Well, exactly, someone to oversee the world. Right, and Roddenberry did that up through the first film, and then they went with Harve Bennett. And even though I have my issues with Harve Bennett, the way that he sort of oversaw it, I love Harve Bennett. You know, and he did invigorate the series. He brought a whole different kind of sensibility to it once Wrath of Khan came out. So anyway,
woo, Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, the director's cut.
Yeah,
that director's cut is not very. I've seen it. It's not great.
No.
And you're talking about somebody who has seen Star Trek 2 more than he has ever seen any other film ever.
We will discuss it when we get it.
Basically, it's kind of the TV cut.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, a few other details. First of all, we want to give a great big shout out to longtime listener Al in San Francisco, who went above and beyond to a degree that we are sort of shocked by, who put together a monster of a care package to sort of show his thanks to us for, I guess, entertaining him for all of these years with our madness. He sent you a ceramic knife and sent us both a whole bunch of Blu-rays and posters and
It really is above and beyond.
It's above and beyond. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really extraordinary. We're just going through that thing. We're like, are you kidding me? Are you really? You did? Why would you do this? So I guess this shtick that we do week in and week out, it's
entertained at least one person.
It's at least entertained one.
Fantastic.
So thank you, Al.
Thank you very much. That ceramic knife. Every time I make something using that ceramic knife, I'm going to make sure that I take a photo of it, put it on the Facebook page. Yeah. Right, because I want to make sure that people know that we're actually and obviously, we've been sent presents before, right? I am a proud owner of the Team America Blu-ray, right?
Yep,
gotta love that.
Yeah.
Now I have a ceramic knife. I love this show.
And as long as we're on a stream of consciousness, I was almost killed this week.
You were almost killed this week.
Yes, I was.
Please tell the world about it, and tell them how I was so close to hitting you. I really tried the best I could, but in the end, I screwed it up.
Unbelievable. I mean, now you, if I may share this, you have actually been hit by a car.
I was hit by a van.
You were hit by a van.
I was walking down the street. I was hit by a van.
And the famous words of a witness was, "Man, he flew."
Yeah, he goes. I was lying in the middle of the road, and everyone was like surrounding me as the ambulance came. And I heard some guy go, "Boy, he really flew." That was me.
Well, I was parked on a side street in Santa Monica, and I was putting stuff in my back seat. And my wife, who's standing on the sidewalk with our daughter, says to me, she says to me, "Look out, she's really close." And I looked up at her and I said, "Who's really close?" And before I even finished the word "close," I kid you not, this VW, this old woman with a handicap placard on the mirror, which I didn't see, but everyone else saw. We have witnesses, but no plate. We have a partial plate. This woman in a VW wagon literally sideswipes, like misses, shattering my hip by about 1.5 inches, plows into my door, tears the door almost all the way off, and just keeps going. It was insane. It's like, and you watch them go, and it's not like she's going fast. It's not like she gunned it to try to get away. I don't think she even realized what happened. And she's just a senile old lady driving around with her handicap placard, and she demolished my door, and then she drove away.
You need to get Kojak on her ass.
It's insane.
You need to get Del Vecchio on her ass.
I've got video actually from there's a corner jewelry store that has surveillance cameras, but they're not high resolution. So.
But does it show the make of the car?
Oh, yeah.
The color of the car?
Oh, yeah.
The license plate?
No, can't read the license plate.
But you said you had a partial license plate.
Yeah, we got like partial digits. So we're hoping.
Hoping for what? Now, can you go to the DMV and say there's a California plate?
No,
I can't. Letters and
I can't, but the cops can.
But the cops interested? No, they
like the report hasn't even gotten to the investigator yet. So it's they just he already told me to. I mean, he it sounds like I'm wasting his time. You get that thing when you talk to them. It's like, yeah, dude, you know what? I got murders, I got rapes, I got like burglaries, I got
Why don't you find somebody else?
What, like a PI?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, well, maybe.
Anyway, find a PI.
I'll call the DMV.
If the cops aren't going to help, DMV's not going to help, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm telling you, what I'm saying to you, and I think I told you this over the phone, that this woman, she's going to keep driving.
She is.
She's going to wind up killing somebody.
She will. I have to stop her.
If you don't stop her before she kills somebody, you will be an accomplice to murder.
We haven't seen Civil War yet.
Huh?
We haven't seen Civil War yet.
What do you mean? The Marvel. No, we have not.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm
eager to, though.
I emailed Disney, and I said, "When's it coming? And when's the invite coming for the all media?"
Looks good.
And she said basically last week. It never came.
Yeah.
They're not going to. It'll come out 4 days before the movie comes out.
We all knew that it was Iron Man and Captain America. We all knew that was the face-off. But that thing is larded up with other. It's like an Avengers film. It's larded up with a whole bunch of other heroes, including new one. It's got Black Panther in it.
Well, what's interesting is that it's a Captain America film, but it feels like an Avengers film.
They got Spider-Man is in it.
But no Thor, no Hulk.
Yeah, no Thor, no Hulk. But Black Widow's in it. It's like a thing.
Also, I'm really hoping, and it looks like it's going to happen. You can tell already that Warner Brothers is digging themselves even a bigger hole.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You know, I mean, they're looking at this movie and they're going to get outgrossed by like Zootopia and outgrossed by Deadpool. Like literally,
it's unbelievable.
A DC film starring 3 of their most iconic characters in their history will be outgrossed by a non-franchise Disney film and a third-rate Marvel superhero.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
And then when Civil War comes out and makes $180 million in the first weekend and gets 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, there will be some serious scrambling.
Oh, there will be big scrambling. I am still predicting that Zack Snyder will not direct Justice League. I still think
haven't they started? No, they haven't started.
No, they haven't started. I still think he will not be part of that. I still think they'll buy him out. They'll put somebody else in charge. They gotta. How can you? How can you? It's not even that it's not going to gross what they wanted it to gross. It's not even that it is going to lose money, and it is going to lose money. It's a money loser.
I don't know that it'll lose. Well, here's the thing.
No. It's a $250 million film.
I'm not saying that.
If you do the numbers, that thing has got to make between $1.2 and $1.5 billion globally in order to break even. It's not going to do that.
It's not even the money. It's the quality of the film.
The merchant, the
merchandising. If it was a wonderful film that underperformed, at least Warner Brothers can. At least they can somehow lick their wounds with that little fact. It turns out that not only will it underperform, but it is almost universally hated unless you're like literally the most low-information 15-year-old.
True. So with that, we're going to jump into I got some kid vid here. I'm going to blast through the kid vid super fast, Mark. I'm going to do this super fast. So speaking of, all 3 of those characters that we just talked about, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they are all part of Justice League Cosmic Clash, the original movie. Oh, well, this is the Lego Justice League. Did I mention that? It's the Lego Justice League.
Lame.
It's you know what? It's okay. It's fine. I'm not as keen on the whole Lego thing as
Lego Batman.
Else.
Why are people excited about that?
I don't
understand.
I don't either.
What were the superheroes doing in the Lego movie?
I don't really.
It was cute, but
it
seems like a weird. It seems like a weird extension of the brand to put them in the Lego movies.
It's a bit odd, but anyway, this is perfectly fine. This is. Cosmic Clash Justice League. It's a lot of Justice Leaguing with the Legos, and Wonder Woman looks fat. I don't know what else I'm going to tell you about that. But some other Lego titles here: Lego Star Wars Droid Tales. A little bit better because droids look better as Legos than people. They're droids, right? They're kind of made to be Lego-ish. Princess Leia and all the rest of the stuff that doesn't really quite work. But this is a fairly popular series. Got a few episodes there. Lego Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu, Possession. This is season 5 of this show on 2 discs. It's perfectly fine. 10 episodes. Not my scene exactly. And then this is the one that I really love. I really do love this. Lego Friends Girls Z 4 Life, 4-digit original movie. This thing isn't even remotely Lego-like. I don't know how this gets away with being a Lego-branded thing because they look more like, what do they call those? Hots? Tots?
Brats.
Brats, yeah, those things. So anyway, this looks more like a Bratz thing that they just branded with Lego, but it doesn't have that whole Lego look that the others have. So, take that for what it is. All right. Other superhero stuff. We've got, this is actually pretty good. This is Justice League versus the Teen Titans. Finally. Haven't you been waiting for that? Justice League versus the Teen Titans?
Yes, I haven't.
I have not, too. Blu-ray, DVD, and a ultraviolet combo set, and it comes with little figurines. This one in particular has Robin. Look, it's got Robin. Isn't that cute?
Robin Quivers?
No, Robin.
Robin Leach?
Robin, Batman's Robin. There he is. He's Teen Titan doing that thing. It's okay. It's people kind of wanted that team up for a while. Batman, a DC Universe original movie, Blu-ray, DVD, and ultraviolet. This is Batman Bad Blood, which is these things. The people who write these things, they should be doing the movies. They really should. I don't know why they don't. It's kind of bizarre. Anyway, I wish the animation were better. I wish the animation were like the artwork that they have on the cover of these things. Because can you imagine if it were animated with that artwork? That would just rock.
See, that would be great.
That would be amazing.
That's the problem. The problem is that it's not that great.
No, it's not. It's not that great. It's not the artwork they have. But Batwoman is in this, and Firefly is a villain, and there's a lot of other cool stuff. And I always Batwoman was always one of my favorite superheroines, and she's so kind of rarely invoked. Got a couple of Power Rangers titles. We got Power Rangers Dino Charge Resurgence and Power Rangers Wild Force, the complete series. I have, at this point, completely lost track of how many Power Rangers series there were. There have to be like 10.
There's so many that Haim Saban basically runs Hollywood.
He kind of does, doesn't he?
He is the man.
He's the man.
He is so rich. He has a whole theater named after him.
He's got a building with his name on it.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
It's all because of the Power Rangers.
I know.
He bought up hundreds of episodes of some crappy show and just shot wraparounds and stuff with American actors and then made an industry out of it. And now they're making a Power Rangers movie.
I know. Another one. It's crazy. From Nickelodeon, got a couple here. Paw Patrol. Not that big on Paw Patrol. My daughter, she likes dogs, but Paw Patrol doesn't really do it. It's kind of more boyish. Anyway, this is Brave Heroes, Big Rescues. And then we also have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Half Shell Heroes, Blast to the Past. This is a Nick Jr. show that is, kind of so-so. It's sort of very super cartoonish Turtles. It's not as good as some of the other Turtle shows. A little more girly. We got My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Friends Across Equestria, which will be big with my daughter and the Bronies. More the Bronies than my daughter. Twinkle Toes. This is Twinkle Toes, Mark. You like Twinkle Toes?
Speaking of Bronies,
yeah.
So I was in San Francisco over the weekend,
right? Oh, dear, yeah.
And this guy walks down the street, and I was with my cousin.
Yeah.
And she says, "Look at that guy." And I said, "Oh, no. You don't understand. That's a furry."
A furry?
You know what a furry is? You're a kid. You really do not know what a furry is.
I think I should know. I feel like I do know, and I feel like I've probably blocked it because after my last therapy session, I was too depressed.
No. Furry is a bizarre subculture of people who dress up in elaborate animal costumes. They essentially anthropomorphize dogs, cats, and they wear furry paws, and they wear furry headdresses, and there are furry conventions.
I've heard of this. I don't really want to know any more about it.
So this guy was walking down the street. What this has to do with Bronies, I have no idea. But this guy was walking down the street, and he was dressed as a furry. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I know what that is because, I am one.
Okay.
I'm not one.
You're scaring me. So anyway, Twinkle Toes, she's a teenage girl. It's one of those deals, and it's an okay show. This is from Cinedigm, and she lights up New York. What do you want? It's all right. Kind of wants to be Barbie. And speaking of, I got a Blu-ray, DVD, and ultraviolet combo set of Barbie Spy Squad, which is relentlessly weird. The whole thing of Barbie on DVD and turning her into like whatever they need her to be on any given thing, and here she's a spy. She's kind of like doing the Avengers thing a little bit, like Barbarella meets Emma Peel. It's like a weird thing. Anyway, so whatever. I mean, I don't get it, but I'm sure there are little girls that do. Mine is too young, and always will be. From Disney, we've got The Lion Guard, Return of the Roar. This is a Lion King spin-off thing that is actually really, 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 really well animated. I'm sort of amazed. The storytelling is, so-so. This is actually all about Kion, who is the second-born of Simba and Nala, and who becomes leader of the Lion Guard. So they're sort of continuing the saga. It's not a great story, but the animation, it's sharp, man. The TV animation they do for Disney is crazy. Goldie and the Bear is actually surprisingly funny. Best Fairytale Friends. Goldie and the Bear. This is all very much in the Shrek motif of mock fairy tales and spoof fairy tales and kind of, twisting and bending the thing with lots of puns and inside jokes. It's very meta. So this is actually kind of a surprising amount of fun. Goldie and the Bear, if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. This is from Disney Junior. And then the show that my daughter just cannot get enough of is Popstar Mini. Because this is all part of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and she loves that damn show. It's unbelievable. So this is Popstar Mini. Mini becomes Popstar. It's great. You get 4 episodes here, and then a bonus episode for a total of 5 episodes, and, it is what it is.
Wait, no one cares. Here's what people care about.
You know what my daughter is nuts about? Oh, my gosh. Do you know what she's nuts about?
is Sarah and Duck, which is not on DVD at all.
Oh, my God.
Sarah and Duck.
No, wait. Now, Sarah and Duck, that's by the same people who made I'm Curious Yellow.
Yeah.
I'm
sure.
Curious Yellow.
Yeah.
Look
Sarah,
it up, folks.
She goes around quacking like a duck. She calls her mom Sarah. She calls me Pink Flamingo.
Okay, no one cares. Can I tell you what's coming out on Criterion in July?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me. Okay, wait. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Here we go.
Yeah.
The New World.
Yep.
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Come on, in July.
Chia.
Fla.
Gla. Totally.
Carnival of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Blu-ray.
I'm so eager for that.
Clouds of Sills. No, that's in June.
Yeah, that's June.
Night and Fog.
Great. Yeah, Night and Fog.
The Renee film.
Yeah.
Touch of Zen.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe.
Yes. That was. I got the. Al sent me the British Blu-ray of that, which is spectacular.
Sweet.
Yep.
I'm saving the best for last.
Mm-hmm.
Wade.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
The in-laws.
I know. Right. It's great.
Can't wait.
Just in time for our dear friend Richard Libertini to resurrect his memory.
And maybe a trigger a reappreciation of Richard Libertini. I like visual jokes on an audio podcast.
Great, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
I like how you did that.
She was funny in that movie.
He's funny in every movie.
Yeah, he is.
He's even funny in Fletch. Remember Fletch?
He's so good in
He's
Fletch.
in Fletch.
Fletch's boss. So, really quickly, wrapping out the kid bid. Daniel Tiger from PBS Kids. We got Daniel Goes Camping and Super Daniel. This show skews really young, and I can't say that I highly recommend it, but I do enjoy Peg Plus Cat. And we got Super Peg and Cat Guy. Peg Plus Cat it's all math and whatnot. But what's amusing about this is the guy that does the voice of Cat slays me. I watch this thing even without my daughter because I just can't handle like the way that Cat talks. It's beyond funny. It's a whole new world of funny. We got Elmo's World, Elmo Wonders. Not really into Elmo's World, much more into Elmo the Musical, but kids love Elmo. They're going to love this. And we got The Cookie Thief, which is this is the Cookie Monster in a whole elaborate Sesame Street parody that is kind of amazing. And when Sesame Street does these parodies, they do not pull their punches. They go completely bonkers on this. And you got a couple of really cool little bonus features on here. But, man, I'll tell you, The Cookie Thief is kind of amazing. The production value of this thing, there's a lot of planning that goes into this and an unbelievable execution. It is like puppetry par excellence. Lastly, real quickly, Transformers Rescue Bots, Adventures in Time and Space. That is just lowball Transformers. New 13 episodes of Scooby-Doo from Be Cool Scooby-Doo, which is, really, the animation, the original animation is so much better. Like this new hyper-cartoonish Scooby-Doo just does not work for me. We've got the very, very creepy Kate and Mim Mim, that freaky purple rabbit thing in Flight of the Flowers. This is 6 episodes, and this is a highly CGI animated thing that, it's got a following, but it's odd. Chuggington, the train delivery dash at the docks.
Chuggington. Now, Chuggington is not a story about like the ultimate frat boy, right?
No.
Chuggington?
No.
Does nothing with chug beers and frat parties?
Nope.
I thought maybe it was.
Got a couple of pound puppies here, a rare pair, and show-stopping pups. Always cute with the puppies. It's not a great show, but the puppies are cute and it's pretty well animated. Puppies. And then rounding us out on the animal front, Littlest Pet Shop, Pet Tales. We got 5 more episodes here, which are, I guess Pet Tales grows thin after a while. A lot of these, there's more to the animation than there is to the writing. So once you've seen a few of them, you kind of feel like, okay, same jokes, going through the same motions over and over. But there it is. It's Kidvid, and the kids are great. So.
Wait, why is the Iron Giant not coming out till September? We finally have an Iron Giant Blu-ray not coming out till September, and that's terrible. We don't like that.
I know, but it is what it is. All right, Mark, new movies. Launch us.
New movies. We have Point Break in 3D. This, of course, is the sequel to the Keanu Reeves film of the same name, and this is about as unnecessary as it gets. The only reason why this thing exists is because nowadays you can shoot extreme sports a lot more realistically. With small cameras and digital trickery and whatnot, and that is just not enough to make this thing even remotely worthwhile. I guess if you're a fan of base jumping or a fan of extreme sports, I guess you might maybe get a kick out of this or fast forward to the extreme stuff.
They abandoned this on the eve of... this thing was promoted very heavily on some very fringy talk shows late at night with their like third and fourth tier actors, and then when the release neared, they didn't even contact the press at all. It wasn't screened for press. It was kind of dumped. So
and there's a reason it was kind of dumped, because it sucks.
Yeah.
And the guy who directed this thing, Erickson Core, he's shot a lot of movies. He shot Daredevil. He shot he shot some stuff. And this is his first. I believe this is his first film as a feature director. Although he did do Invincible back in 2006. But this essentially is worth only fast forwarding to the extreme stuff. Otherwise, it's a ridiculous story. It's ridiculous performances. I mean, Delroy Lindo's in it. We always love him. Edgar Ramirez is in this. He deserves a lot better than this. Ray Winstone, we love Ray Winstone. He deserves better. I just think this thing was the loser from the beginning and should not have been made. And yet, here we go.
And go ahead.
No, you do your thing.
All right. Well, I was going to say, this is an interesting movie. Misconduct. This had like no theatrical presence whatsoever. It's very strange. But it probably should have. Lionsgate premiere made this. And, you think Anthony Hopkins and Al Pacino. Al Pacino and Anthony Hopkins? Anthony Hopkins. How does this not wind up in
right?
How does this not wind up in 2,000 theaters or something? And then Josh Duhamel, I mean, he's not what he used to be, but Anthony Hopkins and Al Pacino, how does this not, this is like 25 years ago. This is a big deal.
Isn't that wild?
Weird. Anyway, this is kind of basically a quasi-semi-sideways remake of The Firm, kind of, sort of, not really. Essentially, Josh Duhamel's a young lawyer. Why not? And there's a whole thriller thing going on where Al Pacino plays like the senior partner of his firm. Anthony Hopkins is this crooked pharmaceutical guy. And there's all this kind of interesting insidery intrigue going on, and Josh Duhamel is the kind of Tom Cruise-y firm guy in the middle of it. It's not quite as tight of a script as it should be, but my gosh, it's not bad. I mean, it should have gotten a little bit of attention, a little bit of love. So that's on Blu-ray with a digital copy, ultraviolet, on it. And it's worth checking out. I can't say it's great, but it's certainly not worth ignoring.
Also, not worth ignoring is a film that you'll probably never see because it stars a woman who is 7,000 years old, Maggie Smith, in The Lady in the Van. This is
good score, though.
Huh?
George Fenton wrote the score. It's a good score.
I didn't mind this movie. I thought the movie was nice.
It's fine.
Maggie Smith plays it's a basically a homeless woman who lives in her van, and she parks the van in this guy's driveway and has lived there for 15 years. And so, what starts out as like, I'll let you park your van in my driveway, winds up becoming this very interesting friendship. And what I liked about it, of course, is Maggie Smith, who was touted for an Oscar nomination, but that was never going to happen. What I liked about the movie is that it is not, although it could have been, it is not overly sentimental, which I kind of like. It's, but yet it's still touching, and it says a lot about the plight of the homeless, which of course is always a good thing. And there's a lot of humor in it, and I just think that Maggie Smith is just such a force of nature, that she's just so great and commanding that it's nice to see an older performer have a showcase film. It is rather unusual, and notice it is not an American film. But there you go, Lady in the Van, a film you will never see, but still, I have to say, your grandparents will get a kick out of it. A film no one will get a kick out of ever is 50 Shades of Black. Now, 50 Shades of Black is, of course, the comedy version of 50 Shades of Grey. The problem is that 50 Shades of Grey was funny enough as it was. It really spoofed itself, because I did not like 50 Shades of Grey. That movie was laughable to me. And now we have 50 Shades of Black, and this, of course, is one of those, satire comedies done by it's always like a Wayans in here somewhere. And Marlon Wayans stars in this, and, Fred Willard's in it, which is always good. Mike Epps is good. It's nice to see him. But it's just so formulaic, I just feel like, what movie actually turns out is pretty good if you talk about like African American comedies? Barbershop, the new Barbershop film.
You know what? Barbershop, the first Barbershop film was decent. The second Barbershop film was amazing. It was great. It really was. People, they slag off on those Barbershop films. They're really good. They really are. The second one was phenomenally good. It was shockingly good. And Cedric the Entertainer was like borderline Oscar worthy in that. No, people need to give those films a lot more credit. The Forest. This is one of those spooky movies. We got 2 movies here that are actually mean to be spooky because they show people's faces in only kind of partiality. So The Forest, you only see the partial face on the cover. Anyway, this is Blu-ray and ultraviolet. And it's about a woman looking for her sister, missing persons deal, right? So naturally, when you're looking for your twin sister and you can't find her, and you're walking around going, I don't know, where is she? Well, maybe she's in the suicide forest in Japan. Okay, let's go looking in the suicide forest. Because a forest called the Suicide Forest is absolutely going to be where I will easily find my sister and nothing bad will happen. And, of course, it gets all spooky and J-horror and weird and freaky and messed up. But anyway, The Forest had a pretty decent theatrical run, Blu-ray and ultraviolet, whatever. And we've also got Cherry Tree, Death is Just the Beginning. As long as we're talking about scary movies and forests and trees, keeping the theme. This is from MPI, and this is somewhat similar scenario, only considerably less Japanese, and it has lower production value. But anyway, this is about a woman named Faith. As if that's not metaphorical
you know
enough.
What? I hate movies where characters. You know what? Here are the 2 words.
It's the Young Goodman Brown thing. Did you ever read that in college?
No.
Nathaniel Hawthorne? No. I've lost my faith.
No.
His wife was named Faith.
When I see a movie with a character called either Faith or Grace, I'm checked out.
Okay. That's one of my favorite lines in Hope and Glory, where his grandfather says that all of his daughters, they're named Faith, Hope, Grace, and there was one other one. His wife named them for all the virtues that he lacked. It's very funny. It's very, very funny. Anyway, so Faith, her dad is he's dying. And from there, we get into a very strange and bizarre witch narrative that is not really all that new, but it's creepy and it's done okay. And I won't tell you exactly how everything ties in, but it's okay. I mean, as far as the witch genre goes, it's nothing new, but it's probably one of the better ones in recent years. And then we got a really, really creepy one here. This is the Hoarder. Oh no, this is not good. Misha Barton, who really should be doing better movies, shows up in this. And this is that not one of the creepiest covers you've ever seen for a horror film? Yeah. This guy basically has his mouth stapled shut. This guy looks like a burn victim, except his mouth is all stapled shut with a series of staples. Anyway, so Misha Barton, who really needs to resurrect her career and not just be a scream queen, because she's better than that. But she's good here. The idea is that she winds up going through a storage unit, her fiancé's storage unit, just thinking that there's, we're just going to check out and see what's there. But of course, it turns out that she discovers that the entire storage warehouse has a rather dark secret, and there's some rather nasty stuff that is stored there by a rather nasty person. And suddenly the Hoarder is after her. And what was interesting is it's one of those kind of Shining-like movies. It takes place in a storage facility. So the storage facility is you could do worse, right? As a setting for a horror film, yeah, you could do worse. Anyway, so it's okay. It is I'd say slightly above average for one of these kinds of films. And the director Matt Wynn certainly holds his own with the genre. And then lastly, we've got from Wolf, which is does a lot of gay titles, LGBT titles. This is a weird kind of dark Dextery comedy that was shown at Outfest this year. I kind of don't get it. The tone is a little bit weird, and I guess if I were more of a fan of Dexter, I might get it. But anyway, it is like a horror romantic comedy, and with a gay twist. And I guess there's an audience for that. Maybe. Anyway, You're Killing Me. George has a killer new boyfriend. I guess at Outfest
we really haven't had a gay themed horror films.
Well, they exist, but they just
film. No, like a mainstream.
Yeah, they're not mainstream. They don't go mainstream, I guess, because they don't think there's an audience for it. I mean, this thing I could see it being a big deal at Outfest because they don't get a lot of things like that. So why not? It sort of switches it up a little bit.
All right, Haley Joel Osment tries to reinvigorate what's left of his career in a film called Sex Ed. It's a comedy directed by guy Isaac Feder. I guess his name is maybe Feder, not sure. Anyway, Haley Joel plays a science teacher, can't find a job, winds up being hired as an after-school activities coordinator, which really means he's just a detention monitor. And his charges, he winds up teaching them about sex. And, there's some funny performances in this. The film's actually kind of funnier than you think it would be, although it's a little bit too long. There's some implausible characters in here. There's some girl who thinks she has cancer, and that just makes no sense. There is a couple of funny scenes because it just involves, like, young kids swearing a lot. But, this actually would wind up being not that bad, but it's really not worth watching or recommending. Also, we have a very interesting film called Lamb. Lamb is about this 47-year-old man who is going through a divorce. It's the end of his marriage, and he winds up befriending an 11-year-old girl, and he befriends her in a very strange way where he pretends to kidnap her and then lets her go saying, well, I could have kidnapped you if I wanted to, but I'm not really a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And somehow through all of that, they wind up having a bit of a road trip.
Yeah.
Where he takes her from Chicago to the Rockies, and it's a very interesting relationship. Two broken people who are trying to kind of come together and kind of find ways to kind of get on with the next chapter of their life through each other. And it's kind of interesting. The girl needs a lot of fatherly attention, and and he's, for his part, he's trying to get over the end of his marriage, and so it's kind of an interesting two-character relationship film called Lamb.
Nice. All right, Mark, let's do some classic titles here. I'm going to go through some of these new Kinos. Kino sent us a bunch of stuff from the Studio Classics line, mostly from the 20th and MGM library that they rated. The first one is utterly forgettable. I have no idea why this was yanked out. Miracle Beach with Amy Dolenz.
She was hot.
Well, Mickey Dolenz's daughter.
Yeah, for a while. Wait, give me this.
Amy Dolenz.
This. There was a moment there where she was smoking hot.
Yeah, but
Miracle Beach is from 1992.
Yeah,
she's smoking hot.
Yeah,
I mean now she's probably like old, wrinkly, and disgusting.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, I really don't know why this was yanked out. Anyway, this is a very strange one for them to say, hey, let's put this out there because it really is just unbelievably generic. It's basically one of those teen sex comedies that with a magic lamp story thrown in. So it's like Aladdin meets the whole kind of beach scene thing. And I'm thinking back, well, isn't that kind of like going back to Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine? Isn't that sort of the same thing? Didn't we already do that back in the 60s? And yes, we did. So this is really not that remarkable. It's just it has a few interesting little appearances. Like Pat Morita's in it, and Vincent Schiavelli, who's always a little bit of fun, and Martin Mull. But otherwise, I just think it's totally forgettable. And then we've also got The File of the Golden Goose with Yul Brynner and Edward Woodward. This is a somewhat forgotten film from 1969, but kind of a decent police procedural. With Yul Brynner as a Treasury agent and Edward Woodward as a Scotland Yard detective who have to get together to take down this gang known as the Golden Goose. It's you're watching it basically for those two actors, and they do a really good job. So I mean, it's not one of the best of the era, but it's certainly good. Yuli's Gold. Peter Fonda had a momentary career resurrection in this Victor Nunez written and directed movie. He was considered, a momentary, possible Oscar favorite for a minute and a half. But the movie kind of faded in the stretch. But still, he got an Oscar nomination for it, and he got a Best Actor in the Golden Globes. And it's very, very good. So it's a late life burst of glory for Peter Fonda in Yuli's Gold.
Did I ever say when I talked to Peter Fonda on the phone?
Yeah, you did. It was weird. Like he would ask questions?
No.
What was that? What was
his publicist told me that when you talk to Peter Fonda on the phone, when you pick up the phone, he says goodbye.
That's what it was.
When you hang up the phone, he says hello.
Yeah.
And the publicist wanted me to know this because it's a little odd. So the next day, Peter calls me on the phone for a little I was working on a talk show at the time. It's a pre-interview. Peter calls me on the phone and says, hey, Peter, goodbye, Mark. And then we talk and have a conversation. At the end, I say, Peter, thanks for the chat. Look forward to meeting you tomorrow. And he says, okay, Mark, hello, and hangs up the phone.
LSD. That's what it is.
It was a bit of a freak out. Even though I had a full day to prepare myself for the weirdness, it was really weird when he said, okay, Mark, I'll see you tomorrow. Hello. And he hung up the phone.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So here's a movie that has a really legendary pedigree. Panic in the Year Zero with Ray Milland and Frankie Avalon. This is actually really a smart film. This is a low-budget film that they made it over at AIP. Sam Markoff and James Nicholson put this together in 1962, and it's one of the less exploitation-y films. I mean, it still is, but it has much more kind of a solid pedigree to it. And the really cool thing, beautifully remastered, by the way, and this was released right around the same time the Cuban Missile Crisis was happening. So it was able to get a lot of publicity mileage out of that. But essentially, this is all about the aftermath of a nuclear attack and society coming apart at the seams, and it's pretty great. It's surprisingly well done, given how little money they had to actually do this. So, and Ray Milland, always great. So that is a gorgeous Blu-ray from Kino. Well done. Love that one. And then lastly, the John Frankenheimer classic, The Holcroft Covenant, with Michael Caine. Look, John Frankenheimer, Michael Caine. I'm sorry. That's. Do you need anything else?
Yeah.
John Frankenheimer directing Michael Caine?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
No, you don't.
Popcorn and.
No, that's it, right?
60-inch television.
There you go.
4K.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah. You know what? This totally works. It still totally works. So basically, Michael Caine is an architect who inherits billions of dollars that was stolen from the Nazis and should be going to Holocaust survivors. And of course, from there we get this incredible thriller that just sort of devolves into all of these fascinating, weird little tentacles. It's very, very smart, really well written. George Axelrod and Edward Anhalt and John Hopkins are all credited with the screenplay. I would give Axelrod probably most of the credit for why this works. Of course, the source material is the amazing novel by Robert Ludlum, but the novel, have you ever read the novel, Holcroft Covenant novel?
I have not.
It's pretty dense, and it doesn't really, you can't really see a movie in it, so you got to kind of go, all right, Axelrod. I mean, it took 3 writers to figure out how to, twist that thing into a movie and give it some pace instead of, sort of all of these labyrinthine twists around. But it really works. It's beautiful. 1985, one of the last great John Frankenheimer movies with Michael Caine, Anthony Andrews, and Victoria Tennant.
Yo.
It's good juice.
Wait, we have a Criterion this week. We have a Whit Stillman's Barcelona. I'm not a huge Whit Stillman fan. I mean,
he's got that new film, though.
He does. He's like, to me, he's like the... New England version of like Ed Burns, a guy who like had a moment and then he lost it, and people seem to like his earlier films.
He's back with this thing. It's like an adaptation of some Jane Austen thing.
It's lame. Yeah. I can tell you already. Haven't seen it, but it's lame.
They loved it. They loved it at Sundance.
Did they?
But
people like to see him again. You know why? Because guys like this, you just assume that they were just left for dead at the side of the road in the blockbuster era and what American film has become. So the idea that Whit Stillman can get a film made after all this time, I guess, is encouraging.
And Criterion does also have, because they previously released Last Days of Disco and Metropolitan, so you can also get a 3-title boxed set now of Barcelona, Last Days of Disco, and Metropolitan. So you have all of that little Whit Stillman trilogy from the 90s on Blu-ray.
Well, Barcelona to me is a much more accomplished film than Metropolitan. Metropolitan was the film
super
that introduced his.
It
was super low budget. It introduced his his like brittle New England wit, and it just felt very Pinky in the Air. And I just really did not.
Pinky in the Air.
It really did. It just felt very rarefied with the debutantes and the socialites. I just did not get that at all. But it's just not my world, and I did enjoy being in that world. But with Barcelona, he kind of opens himself up character-wise, and the way it sort of starts out as like kind of this comedy, and then it becomes a little more dramatic as it goes along. It's essentially about these two cousins. One's uptight, one's not as uptight, and they are in Barcelona. And so they spent a lot of time talking about trivial matters of this and that, and dating, and shaving, and all that sort of stuff. The little tiny conversations that, parsing the details of modern life that Whit Stillman excels in.
Yes.
But he also winds up looping that into a larger story, right? And as it gets more dramatic, it gets more interesting.
Yeah.
I think he really sort of expanded his vibe with Barcelona as opposed to Metropolitan.
He did. Barcelona's a really pretty polished film. It still has all that pretentious dialogue, but that's what he does.
That's the thing. That's his.
That's his.
And by the way, pretentious doesn't mean not funny, because some of it is funny.
No, it is. It is. And I always found a little bit of. I always felt he had some of the same affectations as Paddy Chayefsky in the writing.
Come on.
Some of the same.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Paddy
like
Chayefsky.
Network Paddy Chayefsky.
Paddy Chayefsky is much more of a structuralist. He doesn't have people sort of sitting around a table and just doing twee banter. That's not his thing. But there are ways of there are almost. And I would even say Mamet has some of this as well. There's a cadence to the way that people sometimes talk and bounce, and there's that kind of ping-pongy interaction that is very much a part of a lot of Chayefsky, particularly like scenes in Altered States, I could tell you. And there's stuff in Altered States that feels very, very Whit Stillman. And a little bit of Mamet and some of his stuff, too. So that's just my vibe, man.
Wade, you ignorant slut.
Twilight Time. My gosh, what a killer. Every month, I kid you not, every single month when Twilight Time titles come out, I'm like, how did they look inside my brain and know that I wanted those movies to come out? I'm telling you, Twilight Time, they just keep killing it. What a great lineup this month. And most importantly, Julia. We get a Blu-ray of Julia, a movie I never imagined in a trillion years would wind up on Blu-ray. Honestly, Fred Zinnemann's last great movie. One of the great movies in a year that was basically known for like science fiction, 1977. When you look back, 1977 was in most people's minds all about Star Wars and Close Encounters, and for the most part, pretty much all about Star Wars. People forget that film was also the year of Julia, of Paul Mazursky's An Unmarried Woman. That was the year of Annie Hall. I mean, that was an amazing year. That was a seriously amazing year. Anyway, Julia is just wonderful. A great pairing of two extraordinary actresses, both of whom are controversial politically. So maybe you hate Jane Fonda, maybe you hate Vanessa Redgrave, maybe they're both a little bit too outspoken for you. But if you can put that aside, the two of them are phenomenal in this movie. They are absolutely phenomenal. Based on Lillian Hellman's memoir, incredibly written by Alvin Sargent, beautifully directed by Fred Zinnemann. This is with a George Delarue score that is to die for. I mean, everything about this movie is just is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a wonderful, wonderful story, and basically, a World War II narrative. World War II is a fascinating backdrop to Hellman's, memoir, and it's just beautiful. And you, of course, get the isolated score of the amazing Delarue music, and Nick Redmond from Twilight Time does a wonderful commentary with Jane Fonda, and it's great. And I'm just thrilled that they even got Jane Fonda to be a part of that. It's fantastic. Chato's Land, Charles Bronson. This is another Twilight Time title. Michael Winner film, who, of course, was kind of a mid-level, low-level guy for a moment. I'm not a big fan of Chato's Land from 1972. Bronson, has played Native Americans quite a lot. Here he plays an Apache. It's a little bit, it's a little bit a bit of a stretch, but whatever. More my speed is Cutter's Way with Jeff Bridges just being unbelievably awesome early on in his career. This was directed by Ivan Passer, another director who had a moment and then went away, but boy, he was really good. Great Jack Nietzsche music on the isolated score track. And Nick Redmond does a commentary here with Julie Kirgo. Cutter's Way, kind of a quintessential early 80s film in a lot of ways. looking at how the country sort of was after all the devastation of Vietnam and everything that happened in the 1970s. Jeff Bridges playing a kind of the swingery dude in the 1980s, and John Hurd playing a Vietnam vet. It's good. It's a good film. Really captures a moment. Thought it was really good. In the French Style was the one I did not expect to see in the Twilight Time lineup. This is a Robert Parrish film, originally released in 1962, that legendary year of Lawrence of Arabia. And this was adapted by Irwin Shaw, based on his own short stories that were, look, Gene Seberg. That's all you sort of need to know. Gene Seberg, just absolutely beautiful. Stanley Baker, fantastic. This is really kind of a really cool, just a really cool European Paris set, love story. It's got a great 60s vibe to it. It's fantastic. Mickey Rourke in A Prayer for the Dying. This was largely panned. Mike Hodges has never had sort of a solid following as a director. But you know what? Mickey Rourke is good in this. I think this is, looking back on it, this is a mid-'80s film. And Mickey Rourke as an IRA terrorist, not exactly great casting, but and Alan Bates is kind of ridiculous in this. But Bob Hoskins is really good. The movie actually dates better than I thought it would. I remember it was kind of it felt very shrill at the time. I mean, Mike Hodges, best film that he ever did, Flash Gordon, far and away. I'm just going to put that out there. And then lastly, from the Twilight Time lineup, Mark, you remember who wrote this movie? Sure you do.
Oh, I like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Sure you do. You know who wrote it, right?
What do you mean?
You know who wrote this?
Who wrote it?
Okay. Well, first of all, it was this is Jeff Bridges and Clint Eastwood in like one of the best kind of cool pairings of two bad dudes with guns. Really quite a fun and wild and unbelievable movie. This was written and directed by someone who was given a rare chance by Clint Eastwood, and he has always given Clint Eastwood credit for going out on a limb and letting him start his career, basically.
Well, I know who directed it, but did he write it?
He wrote
also?
it too. Yes, he wrote it. Yes.
Michael Cimino.
That's it, Michael Cimino. We make fun of him on this show. Yep.
But he's had such an odd career because Michael Cimino does not Thunderbolt and Lightfoot does not seem to track from like The Deer Hunter. Well, and some of the other stuff he did.
It's Eastwood. He really gives Eastwood all the acclaim in the world for giving him a chance. I mean, there was no reason why Eastwood should have gotten behind that movie, but he did. It's cool. A fun movie. It's a cool movie. Used to show on TV all the time when I was growing up.
Wade, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 Collector's Edition is out on Blu-ray.
Yep.
This film came out about 10 years after the original, and I hated this film because I thought it really just crapped on the original. Because the original was groundbreaking and scary, but this one is just ridiculous and silly and over the top and it almost just makes fun of the first film. I just feel this thing was just a complete misfire. I mean, I guess I understand if Tobe Hooper, who would go on to obviously direct Poltergeist and a couple other good films, if he felt he didn't want to repeat himself or do the same thing but just give it more. I guess I understand that, but why did he have to have Dennis Hopper? Why did he have to have all these people just acting silly and over the top? It just really was disappointing.
It was camp. It was just high camp, and I think they just figured that was the only way they could get away with this sequel.
But but the sequel, it just craps on the original. This sequel manages to make the original a worse film. Mm-hmm. That's how bad, because it just makes the original feel like it was just a joke.
Yeah,
the whole thing was just a joke.
True.
So I'm not a fan of this film. I know it does have its fans. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It does look good, even though it was a very low-budget film for the time. And, it's got a lot of special features on it. Scream Factory, these guys, they knock it out of the park, man. They really know how to put together a Blu-ray. And there's plenty of special features. It's a 2K scan, so it looks okay, fine. New audio commentary by the DP and the production designer. That's always fun stuff. They do have a lot of memories and recollections that are very entertaining to listen to. And there's a second disc with lots of interviews and featurettes and behind-the-scenes stuff. So, if you love this film, definitely get this. It's a definite pickup. But to me, I just think this thing was just it was just a real disappointment.
So we'll hit a couple of docs before we get into some TV. But Mark, I got an interesting trio of documentaries here. There's a theme. Okay, there's a theme. I'm going to go through the theme here. Okay, I'm not making a statement. I'm just going with a theme because these are all docs. These are all new docs, new to DVD. So the first one is from Doc Factory and Bullfrog Films. It's called Shadows of Liberty. Shadows of Liberty, Mark. Shadows of Liberty.
Wow.
This is a fascinating hour-long documentary. There's there's like an hour and a half long documentary version on here too, but you could watch the hour-long version is perfectly fine. And it is all about how the perspective of the media in our political campaigns is very corporate dominated. I know that's kind of a recurring theme. I know everybody sort of says, yeah, tell me something else that's new. But it is an interesting dissection of it, really looking into the details and sort of how you can sort of see the skew and what stories are pulled and what stories are plugged. And very interesting. It is Shadows of Liberty. And then from that, we go to I Can Be President, a kid's eye view. Isn't that a cute little drawing on there? That little kid, he's waving. He's like, I can be president, right? He can be president. He's standing on a stool in front of the White House, and he's waving. Hi, I can be president. This is from pair of filmmakers Diane Collier and Michael Sporn. And this is a lovely little look at a bunch of different kids from different backgrounds who are all interviewed, they're grade schoolers, who are all interviewed about being able to become president. And Michael Sporn, the co-director, some might know him as he's an award-winning animator. I think he may even have been Oscar nominated a couple of times. But in any case, he animates all these sequences and gives them. It's a little bit like a. It's a little bit like what was the Oscar-winning Nick Park film with the animals?
The Wallace and Gromit. No,
not Wallace and Gromit. The first one. His very first.
Chicken Run.
No, his very first one. Well, where he interviewed people and he animated them to animals. I always forget the name of that. Well, anyway. So so this is a very sweet film. I Can Be President, a Kid's Eye View, and so from Shadows of Liberty about media corruption of news coverage and politics to a Kid's Eye View, I Can Be President, we come to Mark.
The Making of Trump.
This was on the History Channel. So here it is. It comes with an ultraviolet copy, so that you can carry it with you anywhere, and you can have Trump with you anywhere. You can watch the making of Trump on your phone when you're driving.
We're in the middle of Trump now. Why would they come out with this? Don't we want to know what's going to happen?
You know what? This is actually all about how he became the magnate that he is. They're obviously getting History Channel has no shame. They just if there's anything in the zeitgeist, they just go through the archives and they just ram out whatever they can. So anyway, you do get a lot of interesting interviews in here, and there's nothing new particularly. I think everybody by now sort of knows this. Trump is not exactly a guy with a lot of. He doesn't really have any skeletons in his closet. He just dangles them from his neck all day long. They're out in the open. Everything is known. So this isn't going to sort of expose. You're not going to find out. Oh my gosh! Look, he look at what he did. I had no idea that he would. He went to a soup kitchen on the weekends and bust tables. You're not going to find out anything like that. That's not this movie. So it's 90 minutes of sort of everything you already know if you can go through it. But anyway, look, there it is. Those are three on the political scene.
Let's blow through some television and some docs. We have. Ken Burns, his essential documentary on Jackie Robinson. This is a 4-hour.
This is really good.
It is very good. Ken Burns,
really
of course. It's interesting with Ken Burns where he's very much into the African American experience, and because obviously Civil War
and baseball,
and now we have Jackie Robinson, and
jazz,
That's true.
Yep.
And while you think that this is 4 hours of just putting Jackie on a pedestal, that is actually not the case.
Nope.
And it's just so fascinating how you realize what Jackie was when he first came up.
Yep.
He was the guy who had to just grin and bear it, had to just swallow all the abuse he was given. But then at some point, Branch Rickey said, "Hey man, you know what? You've established yourself. You've won all sorts of awards. Mm-hmm. You're obviously legitimate. You're a great baseball player, whether African American or not. You're just a great baseball. you're off the lead. You can say what you want now. You can be the player that everybody else is.
There it is.
And Ken Burns gets into the angrier Jackie Robinson, the one who would stand up for himself.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting turn. And then what I found particularly sad about it is after Jackie had retired. Mm-hmm. You know, he was obviously getting older, and the hair was getting grayer, and he was Martin Luther King had these great things to say about him, and he was being held up as his paragon and whatnot. And you know, Jackie understood that was kind of a
role he had to play.
Even if he didn't always like it. So it gets into warts and all about Jackie, and there's an amazing interview. The primary interviewee is, of course, Jackie's wife, who is thankfully still around. And, this is essential stuff. Jackie Robinson, filmed by Ken Burns, and Sarah Burns and David McMahon. There's a couple special features. I was hoping there would be more. But still, you get yourself a great documentary. 4 hours, great stuff about Jackie Robinson. Also, we have Ron Taylor, Dr. Baseball. Now, I got very excited when I saw this because Ron Taylor was a New York Met. And I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be great. Well, it turns out that this is not really about him being a New York Met. It's about this guy, Ron Taylor. He was a pitcher for 11 years, and he played for the Cardinals, and he was actually on the 69 Miracle Met team. And he winds up on a USO tour through Vietnam. And being on this USO tour through Vietnam would totally change his life. He would wind up devoting the rest of his life to medicine, and he'd enroll in medical school, and he became the Toronto Blue Jays team doctor. So it's a very interesting turn of life for Ron Taylor, and it's all documented in this documentary, Ron Taylor, Dr. Baseball. Very well put together with the archive footage and new interviews by Drew and Matthew Taylor. Very insightful, very interesting story. They get a lot of great interviews. There's Joe Torre's in this, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Ferguson Jenkins, Pat Gillick from the Blue Jays. And it's a terrific look at a very interesting baseball life. Ron Taylor, Dr. Baseball.
Fabulous. All right, wrap it all out with some TV. Had some foreign films I was hoping to get to, but we're going to have to save that for next week. We got a couple of the Bible Stories series. This is kind of an ongoing thing from Shout Factory. They're pumping these out. Samson and Delilah with, again, Dennis Hopper, coming over from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Elizabeth Hurley, believe it or not, and Eric Thal, who was kind of a guy for a moment. This is a weird telling of the story, not at all what was foreseen by Cecil B. DeMille when he did the original one. The weirdest part of this is it's directed by Nicholas Roeg. It's a very strange thing. This is from 1993, in any case. Diana Rigg shows up in this as well, which is kind of the saving grace. Eric Thal, I don't know where he's gone, but he's a very strange Samson. I can't say I liked him a whole lot. Elizabeth Hurley, better as Delilah. But anyway, it's, if you know the story, it's probably worth checking out, I guess. And then David is a little bit better, because Leonard Nimoy's in it. Leonard Nimoy makes everything better. Especially when he's all gray and bearded and, very kind of biblical looking. But this is the story of David, who becomes King David. And it's good, slaying Goliath and all that stuff. Jonathan Pryce is in it as well. Sheryl Lee coming off of Twin Peaks. This is from 1997, so, still looking very much as she did on Twin Peaks. Directed by a guy named Robert Markowitz, who I have very little exposure to. But anyway, this is perfectly acceptable. Better than the King David movie starring Richard Gere, which was just an abomination. That was just horribly embarrassing. Your turn.
Am I saying things now?
Yes, go ahead.
Veep Season 4 is on Blu-ray, and this show is just gosh darn funny. And the reason why this show is gosh darn funny is because of Armando Iannucci, because he wrote and directed he wrote an amazing film called In the Loop.
Oh, that's
one
right.
of the great political comedies that starred James Gandolfini.
Which you like more than I do.
And I just think that film is just absolutely fall down hilarious.
Yeah.
And he created Veep, and this has been an amazing vehicle for Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
It really has. I never imagined this show would take off like it did.
I never imagined that Julia Louis-Dreyfus had like another chapter in her career.
Right?
It's amazing. This is like this thing has won like half a dozen Emmys.
I know.
This thing just won't stop.
Who would have imagined that of all the people on Seinfeld that would actually go on to another chapter, she would be the one to have like the next hit?
I think Michael Richards could have a great career doing stand-up.
Yeah, he could. He sure could.
And and maybe if he did stand up and only said certain words and didn't say other words, he could be a lot more successful.
Yeah.
Anyway, Veep is just gosh darn funny. Really like the show a lot. Great cast, is her incompetent staff, and so I would definitely check out Veep season 4. Also, we have season 2 of Silicon Valley. Season 2 of Silicon Valley better than season 1 because they've set up all the characters, they set up their environment. Now they can just start to play. This thing has already won a couple of Emmys. It's a very satisfying season. They really know exactly from whence they speak. Working at TechCrunch Disrupt, and it's got a great cast, and it's very funny, very insightful. I think this thing is great. Season 3 premieres soon, if it hasn't already. I think it premieres soon. But definitely check out Silicon Valley. Mike Judge, one of the great, almost underappreciated satirists of our time, and that's Silicon Valley. Also, we have the complete 6th season of Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah,
Pretty Little Liars is a show where 5 hot girls in their 20s they lie and they cheat and they steal. And there's actually girls, not people, they're girls.
Yeah,
they will watch this show in groups.
Really?
And when the next twist happens that they didn't
see coming,
they would scream and yell at the top of their lungs in surprise. And what's even worse is, they record themselves watching the show and screaming and yelling with each surprise, and then they cut those videos up and put them on YouTube.
Okay, that's a little bit. It's a little bit odd.
That's true. Anyway, there's a couple special features here. The only thing that means anything to me on this show are the hot girls. Otherwise, couldn't care less.
And then we have Haven, the final season. This was one of those shows about kind of a dystopian, mysterious future. Things have gone wrong. We've had like a dozen of these over the past 4 or 5 years, ever since Lost. Lost kind of precipitated all of these. Anyway, these are people who, the Fog Bank created the world of Haven, and everything gets all very weird and losty. This this show has a following. I'm not particularly among it, but it wraps out rather nicely. It's a nice final season, and looks good on Blu-ray. I mean, what do you want? It's one of those CW type casts that they look all the same. We also have the 9th and final season remastered in the deluxe remastered edition of Little House on the Prairie. This show is on fumes by this point. Michael Landon is a shadow on this show, and that's it. It's just this is just trying to go out with a little bit of dignity. We have another When Calls the Heart. This is Troubled Hearts. The only thing that kind of makes this a little bit engaging is that Lori Loughlin and Jack Wagner have an interesting chemistry. So, by the way, this is Michael Landon Jr. who produced this, and that's kind of typical Hallmark fare. A show that continues to have a weird resurrection. Sisters, out in the season 4. I always liked this show at the time, mainly because I'm a huge Cela Ward fan. But it's a good cast, Swoozie Kurtz, Patricia Kalember, Julianne Phillips, and Cela Ward. The 4th season is still very much as strong as the first 3, and it's worth checking out. This was before Sex and the City, before Girls, before all of those other female empowerment shows. This was like the first one, pretty much. And you even get George Clooney showing up here, which is kind of cool for TV trivia fans. And that looks like it, Mark. That's it. We're done this week.
What?
We're done. So hopefully I'll have a car again next week. By the way, it's Cocoa this week. Did I mention it's Cocoa?
You have not. However, no one cares about that. We should thank our friend.
Thank Al one more time. Al, thank you one more time. Really above and beyond. We are so grateful. See you guys next week.